Sometimes there can just be too much of a good thing. This is not one of those times. Hey, what's up? My name is John Bonjour. I am an artist and a film enthusiast. I have drawn some art and I would like to enthuse about some film. Today I'm talking about Dune Part Two, directed by Denis Villeneuve. You'll notice that most of my background is gone. That is because I am moving. There's going to be a whole video on that and the plan for the future channel, but just bear with me. It's going to be a little sparse today. That's fine. We're just going to roll with it. This is going to be a non-spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie, feel free to stay. And if you have, hopefully you'll get something out of this, or maybe you won't. Maybe nobody gets anything out of these. I just have no idea. I also want to start with this. I normally do like a negatives and then a positives, and then I talk about the movie as a whole. The problem with that is I don't really have any negatives for this movie, so the rest of this video is just going to be me gushing about the film. So I'm sorry if you wanted to hear strong, really well-crafted criticism, because I don't know if you wanted that. Why are you here? Why have you seen any of my videos? That's not what I bring to the table. I bring dumb jokes and sometimes cool art, sometimes bad art. This is not going to be a super in-depth criticism of the movie because, quite honestly, I don't have anything to say. So let's just get into some of the positives. My most important positive is these are some of the most incredible, if not the most incredible, cinematic achievements in terms of sci-fi that I have ever experienced. Denis Villeneuve is a master at creating scale and depth and world in a place where it feels like all of this should feel dumb. The big ships and elaborate costumes and ridiculous characters should all feel stupid and dumb and outdated. Kind of like Star Wars. Not that don't hear me wrong. Star Wars is not stupid or dumb or outdated, but like there's an element of Star Wars that you kind of have to accept the camp. The same is true with Star Trek or Doctor Who or pretty much any other sci-fi series. You have to accept that, yeah, some of these people are going to look a little ridiculous and they're going to feel a little goofy, but you just kind of have to go with it because that's part of the world. I do not know how these films do it, but that is just not an element of them. There is no part of this that feels like I have to suspend my disbelief. And I say that across the board. That is a testament to the direction, to the acting, and I think most importantly to the visual effects, which are just mind-blowing. Like, there is a sequence in this movie that made me tear up just because of the visual effects, just because it was so fundamentally impressive to me that I forgot that I was watching a movie. That does not happen very often. And very rarely am I sucked so far into a movie that I forget that I'm in a theater full of people who are all eating their popcorn very loudly. It's so hard for me to do that, but this film, there were multiple times that I was just completely engrossed in the film, to the point where I left the movie and I felt like it was an experience that I personally had, which is potentially a bad sign for my mental health, but otherwise I think pretty cool. But like I was saying, the visual effects in this film, it's unbelievable. I mean, this is true of the first one as well, and I think these two go together to create the greatest sci-fi film story ever made. But the effects that they use in this are huge. They're not hidden. It's not like a Mad Max Fury Road thing where they touch up a few things in visual effects. There are multiple shots in this movie that are completely VFX, I assume, and somehow I still believe them. I buy that this is a physical thing in the real world. Like, I am still not entirely convinced that they didn't take Timothée Chalamet and put him on a different planet. And speaking of Chalamet, obviously he's an incredible actor. We've all known that since Lady Bird, probably before that. But there is just something special about his Paul Atreides. I've seen him in other roles that I don't completely buy him, or he comes off a little pretentious or annoying. This is absolutely not even close to one of those. There is something so alluring about the way he plays Paul, to the point where if you've read the book, you know that Paul is not always the hero. He's our protagonist, but that does not necessarily make him a great person. And I think we saw some of that in part one. Part two just delves way deeper into that, and it really challenges how much you care about this character, because I really do. And then throughout this movie, he's put in situations and makes decisions that it's like, I understand why he would, but it's hard to watch because you want him to be the Captain America of the situation, and he just isn't. And I'm putting that praise on Frank Herbert, the writers of this film, and Timothée Chalamet for being able to bring that into the forefront of this movie without hitting it over our heads. And I think that's my favorite thing about this Dune series as a whole, is it's clear and it develops the world and it builds something so beautiful, but it never feels like it's just trying to shove something down your throat or trying to like prove a point or make a statement. It has points. It has things that it's saying and things that it's bringing to the table. I love that you can watch this as impressive worlds, or you can watch it as religious allegory, or you can watch it as somewhere in between, and it works on every conceivable level. I love that these films are engaging and entertaining. They're not boring. At least I didn't think so. I would imagine there are probably some people, like I saw a trailer for Kung Fu Panda, the beginning of this movie, and my first thought was like, really, kids are not, I don't think kids are going to get super into Dune. It just doesn't seem like kind of their jam. So why are we advertising to children? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's a bunch of 8-year-olds out there who just really love to talk about Baron Harkonnen. I just don't think that that's probably true. Another impressive positive to me for these, well, both of these films, but especially this one, is the balancing of probably 50 different tones. I feel like sometimes this movie is a horror movie, sometimes it's an action drama, sometimes it's a war movie, sometimes it's a romance. Like, there are so many elements to this movie, so many moving pieces and balls in the air that they have to juggle. I could not imagine trying to make something out of all of that that's even remotely cohesive, much less this impressive and this just watchable. This is just a movie that I feel like I'm going to have to see again, not necessarily because I missed anything, although, probably I did, but I feel like I was drinking out of a fire hose in terms of what this thing was throwing at me. I could not absorb everything going on. And I think toward the end of the film, not necessarily the very end, but toward the middle of the third act, I definitely felt a little bit overstimulated, overwhelmed, and I kind of backed out of the movie for a little bit. And I don't think that that's the movie's fault. I think that that's just, I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't prepared for what this was going to be. I kind of felt the same way the first time I saw the original Dune, not David Lynch's Dune. That is overwhelming, but in a different kind of more psychotic way. But I felt that way watching part one the first time I did, and then the second and third time after that, it really kind of set in and I was able to appreciate the film as a whole. I have no doubt that the next time I see this film, I will be able to stay in it because I just know what's coming and know what to expect and know what it's bringing to the table, so it's not all completely new all the time. All that to say, I said it before, but I will say it again. This is the most impressive sci-fi ever put to screen. I have no question about that in my mind. It is 100% through and through believable, which is so hard to do for science fiction. It's not goofy. It's not over pretentious. It's approachable, but still engaging. It makes you think. It makes you feel. And at the end of the day, it's just entertaining as hell. This is one of the best movies I have seen ever. And I'm not quick to say that. I just had no other response when the credits were rolling. I hope they make another one of these, but the only way that you do that is if Villeneuve is on board. If anyone else directs, don't even do it. There's literally no point, because I don't think anyone else in the world would be able to achieve exactly what Villeneuve was able to do with these films. Please go see Dune in theaters. This is a movie that deserves to make actual money. This is the kind of movie I want to support and I want people to go see, because this is the kind of movie we should be making. I have no doubt the studios are going to get wildly the wrong assumption about what makes this movie popular. I don't know what that's going to be. Maybe it's going to be sand. That'd be fun. Maybe it's going to be worms. Maybe it'll just be Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya, who, by the way, I didn't mention, is incredible in this. She's great in the first one, but you don't get a lot of her. This develops her character, brings her to a really interesting level. One of the best parts of the movie. Anyway, all that to say, this is one of the greatest movies ever made. I highly, highly recommend going to see it in a theater. And I have nothing else to say. Just please go see this movie. Thank you for watching this video and checking out my channel. If you'd like to hear more of my thoughts on movies, comics, TV shows, the various sand planets, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below what you'd like me to review next. Or do none of those things, because I am not your dad.